Hey, this is Bear from Portakeeper, and as part of my alternative brew methods videos, I'm going to make a Chemex this morning. If you're not familiar with the Chemex, it's a single piece of glass. It has this bamboo handle in the middle. Some of them have a kind of like a carafe handle that you can hold. I kind of like the classic version with the bamboo. They come in a couple different sizes. This is the larger one. I actually have a single cup one as well that's pretty neat. I'm just going to make one single cup of coffee with this large one. But looking at a couple of the features, it has this pouring spout. It's really nice for pouring, but it doubles as preventing an airlock as you're brewing your coffee. So here's your Chemex papers. Let me grab one. And these are the natural papers. People sometimes like the natural over the bleached. They're kind of like folded like a napkin. But how you use them is you just pull one of the flaps back and it makes a funnel. So on this side you're actually going to have 3 layers, and on this side you're going to have 1, which is kind of the downside of this brew method. But there's actually somewhat of a reason behind it. When you put it in your Chemex, you put the 3 layers on this side so that it doesn't cup really bad. So it's giving a little bit more strength. What you'll need, I'd recommend a scale and something like this Bonavita kettle. There's a lot of different brands out there. I prefer the gooseneck, but you don't necessarily have to have it. Good grinder. I actually pre-ground on my ditting. It's about like, let's see if I can focus, it's about like salt. Slightly coarse salt. Something that you'll need to know is 1:15 ratio. That's all you really need to know for this brew method. So 1 gram of coffee grounds for every 15 grams of water. What I typically like is, for a single cup, I do 22 grams of coffee grounds to 350 grams of water. You're going to lose some of that water in your brew. So to start off, I'm actually going to move my camera after I get this going. But to start off, place your paper in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to rinse this. And what we're doing is we're getting any of the cardboard taste out of this paper, because we don't want to taste it. And I just let it run down, and we'll add the coffee here in a second. So I just went and dumped this out. And what we want to make sure is to put the 3 tabs, the 3 layers on this side. That's the most important for preparing this. And I've already pre-ground the 22 grams of coffee. I'm using the same Ethiopian I used in another video. We're just going to pour it in there. What I like to do is do like a little bit of a dimple in the middle. And the reason for that is, as you bloom, you want your bloom to saturate all the grounds evenly. So we're going to put it on the scale and tare our scale. And for the bloom, I like to do about twice the amount of coffee grounds. So in our case, we did 22 grams. I'll try to place this over. Did 22 grams, and I'll probably bloom with about 50. I went a little over. So there's 50 grams. The entire drawdown from the point that we started this should be about 4 minutes. So I like to give it a little bit of a stir. The bloom, I don't really bloom very long, maybe 30 seconds. But we just want those grounds to expand. Then from here, we want to stop at 350 grams of water. And I usually do it in 2 pours. So we're at 50 right now. So I want to add about 150, followed by another 150. So there's our first 150. And since I'm only doing a single cup, the drawdown is probably going to be a bit quicker. There's less grounds to go through, but I typically only make this for myself. I kind of like the single brewer, but the paper is just so huge sticking out of the top of it. Then what I'm going to do is we're going to top it off to 350. I try to get it mostly on the grounds, less on the paper. And what we want is a fairly flat bed when we're done pouring. Okay, well there's 350. And the drawdown on this is much slower than the Chemex. Than the V60. The Chemex has much thicker paper, and the V60, it's just a little bit different how they work. I'm planning to do a video on that. So if you're not familiar with either of these, or if you're just getting started, they look really similar, but they function quite a bit different from each other. So for the most part, this bed is pretty flat. Probably went a little bit too fine. You see some of the fines on top, get that muddy look. Might consider going a little bit coarser, but this is usually what I run mine on. I usually use the filter paper setting on this ditting. So let's take a cup and pour it and see what it tastes like. Okay, I've let it cool a little bit. I think that's one of my favorite parts. You get to see how red brown the coffee is. It just really refracts nicely in these coffee brewers. And I'm going to pour it into my cup. That little spout really makes a nice pour. So, beautiful cup of coffee. It smells amazing. The extraction is just how I like it. Oh, this is very good. So that's how I do my Chemex. If you got any questions, leave them in the messages below, and I'll try to get back to you on those. Let me know what you think of these videos. Thanks.